Hi everyone, Stefan here. This is stream 12. Welcome everyone. So this time, like you probably saw that I didn't post our friend Beetlejuice here last time. I almost finished it offline, but there's a few things that I still needed to do, and I had some other stuff, so I couldn't really work on it. So I think this time we're going to finish this guy quickly once and for all, and then after that we'll do something a little easier, because this one was a little painful, to say the least. It took me a little while. Last time when I closed off the stream, the body was pretty much the same as this. Just brought it back in Photoshop because I want to finish it in Photoshop, because now I'm at a stage where I need to have all accurate colors, and it's way easier for me in Photoshop than it was in Sprite. So we'll finish it this way. Maybe I'll go back to Sprite when I start the next one, but for now I'm gonna finish it off there. The head is the only thing that really changed. I worked a little bit offline on it, and ended up with this. It's a bit of a different head than all the other characters. The more simple, featureless faces. But for him, he's kind of a face is really part of his character, his goofy character, especially the eyes with the big makeup. So I thought I'm gonna make a concession there and put a little bit more detail in the face than I usually do. Yeah, there you go. There's just a few things that I want to work there, especially this area around the waistline. I think the jacket here, I mean, it's about the right size, I guess, but suggest a little bit of a belt. Look at the belt the way it is there. Same thing, it's pretty much striped as well, which really makes it almost impossible to render this in pixel, but so I just did a very simple thing here just to suggest this. And I just wanted to check on the different background, because this on a white background, it works okay, but we're losing this edge of the leg. I don't know if it's really a problem in itself, but just wanted to see if I could maybe let me see, where is this guy? Maybe just maybe outline it so that we keep this the right thickness for the leg, but it might end up looking a little weird. So I'm just gonna check this, probably with very light value. I don't want too much contrast in there, so this is probably what I have the lightest. Let's see, don't know if I need to do that, but let's check real quick. If I do this, then this leg probably looks too thin. Then maybe I could do something like this, you know. Doesn't seem very clear though what's going on there. I wonder if I add one more stripes here, see what this would do. Very quickly. No. I think I'm just gonna leave it. It's probably alright. So this is alright. So I just want to make sure that I have a consistent anti-aliasing everywhere. It's one of the last things that I wanted to do. So this is okay. That. Right, maybe a little bit there. It's probably better. Suggesting the edge of the jacket. It's alright. Just same thing, being consistent there. I think I can go a little darker this edge because so much contrast going on. Same thing here. I think we can do that. Okay. Let's see if I want to go the extra mile on the using maybe, I don't know, starts to look a little bit too different than the other guys, so I want to go overboard with the anti-aliasing, so I'm just going to keep it to a minimum. It's probably enough as it is. A little bit here. This. Okay. So good. That's about right. Okay. Yeah, I think so. I think in terms of all the lines and the stripes, I think it's okay now. Still have the pose. That's good. Okay, so that's about right. So one thing that I just wanted to try really quickly, see if we can have the back layer a little darker. So I'm gonna paint in multiply there, which means that basically if I take this color, it's going to be multiplied by every other color, and so basically what it means is that it'll darken everything by the exact same amount. So if I do this, both those pixels and those, they will get the right value. So we'll try something. I'm gonna go really quite light just to see if it's worth it. Got a little more. Let's see this. Then we could do same thing with this arm. I think for the legs is too much, but I think arm is probably a good idea. Just a bit. Don't have to overdo it too much, but let me see. Just want to try it, find the right amount. Something like this. I don't know if it's really a good idea. This I think is all right. Maybe just the arm, but not the forearm, because there's a bend there, right? I mean, it's not the same pose, but you can imagine it's about the same. So this could be a little more shadow. Not sure I want to do anything for leg. Let's see. It's a bit much. I'm gonna go a little less. That's enough. I'm gonna do that. I think it's worth doing. And now I just have to make those shoes. So it shouldn't be too long. So here it's a matter of just getting a bit some kind of volume, and suggest the little holes for the laces. Something like this works okay. And this one, it's a bit more front. Something like this probably would work more or less. Let's see. Yeah, big shoes. I think it's about done now. See if I can maybe outline the bottom of the arm. I think we can do that. Yeah, I think just close off the arm. That doesn't harm. And maybe this would be a bit better as a color. I think yeah, I think I'm done with this. There's really not that much to do, but couldn't find the time to really finish him. Yeah, I think he's done. A bit of hair, volume, this. Bit of a weird thing going on here. We'll keep it low contrast there. Okay, I think that's it. That's it. Let's move him around. See his size and everything. He's taller than the apes, but the apes are pretty small. This guy's really big. He's actually bent. He's much straighter, so that makes sense. See, compared to this guy, I think he looks big because he has a big head, but he's really not that big if you compare to some of those guys. really more of a head thing. Yeah, I think that's this perception. Yeah, I think he's all right. I think that's probably okay. So that's it. We're gonna give him a shadow real quick. And that's it. Beetlejuice done, finally. Oof. I'm glad this guy is over. This one was particularly tough. But see, if you, I guess the lesson is, if you stick to it, and if you're patient, eventually you're able to make something, even when it at some point it looked a little bit desperate. I wasn't too sure how I was gonna resolve this, but there's always a way. You just have to be patient and a little bit, just persevere, and eventually we'll find a way to make things work. I mean, it is what it is. There's, like I said, there's a inherent limitation to this sort of graphics, and you have to accept the good and with the bad, and the bad is that sometimes things like this, they don't particularly look that great compared to some other things. But that's just the nature of it. You have to keep in line with the style anyway. So okay, so I think we're done with him. And like I said last time, I was gonna do something much easier. We'll see if it's really much easier, but I think it probably will be. And I wanted to do Elephant Man. When he's got the, so Elephant Man, it's 1984, I think. Oh yeah, that's a good one. 1984, filmed by well, the reference is gonna be gross, so I'm gonna look at this I think on my own on the other screen, because I don't want to gross you out, guy. And I'll look at it from hold on. So let me find the reference first. So Elephant Man 1984, filmed by David Lynch. Probably his most accessible film, actually, because some of the stuff that he did is really weird. Films like what's the name, Mulholland Drive, it's almost like you have to have the manual to really follow what's going on. They're very obscure films. Blue Velvet, He also did Dune, which was not very well received by the fans or the critic, but when you tackle this sort of project, it's always quite difficult to get the fans to love it. Dune is a particularly tricky one. Interestingly enough, Denis Villeneuve, the guy who recently did the new Blade Runner, and before that he did Prisoners, and also The Arrival, and what else? Enemy. He's going to trying to look for reference here. I'm gonna keep this. He's going to also try and make a Dune movie apparently, so good luck with that. I think it's probably not a great idea to try and tackle this again. I think there was a TV show too that was really not that great. I think it's just one of those things that are pretty tricky, and probably not the very suited for screen adaptation. It's just one of those things. But anyway, so David Lynch, he did this film was black and white, even though it was released in 1984, and it's interesting because he did another film that has the sort of same gritty look, Eraserhead, which is very weird, very weird. In that film, people make erasers with parts of brains of other people, and that's why it's called Eraserhead. So that kind of gives you an idea of how weird this film is. But David Lynch is a weirdo. He's a very strange character, very talented director, but he really is in his own world. There's a documentary. I can't remember how it's called, but you see him and how he works and his passion. And one of the things that he loves doing is driving around LA and taking pictures of walls, plain walls. He doesn't take any other pictures than walls. He just drives around LA, stops when he sees a wall that inspires him, and sits in front of it and takes a picture. And he has hundreds of them. and that's David Lynch for you. He is also known for pretty much being incapable of communicating with producers and people like this. So he would always be in his office and shades closed and working on his scripts or whatnot. And there was only one person, his close assistant, who could take his communications and also take his answers on dictation, and then try and transmit them to the appropriate people. He wouldn't talk to anyone except through her. So a pretty special man, very much of an artist. Hold on, I'm just trying to find some reference here. That's yeah, I think I got something good here. Okay, so the I'm looking for a reference for this sort of thing is Elephant Man. So it's the story of John Merrick. He lived in the Victorian era in England. And he was one of the first, I think, documented and recorded a case of a very strange illness that affects bone structure and basically grows. It's almost like there's a parasite that grows that fixes onto the bone and really transforms people as they grow around their life. And then on top of the bone grows flesh, which is really gross. And then people end up with like this monstrous sort of how can you call that, um, deformities, whether it's on their face or their bodies. And there are, honestly, I mean, John Merrick was famous because there's a book written about him, and he was one of the first that science actually recognized. But since then, there's been plenty of people with the same affliction, and so when you're looking for Elephant Man, you actually find pictures of people who have this right now, and I can tell you that some of them are actually much worse than John Merrick. So be warned if you're looking for reference for Elephant Man. Beware, try and have the safe search on, because this is pretty graphic, and it's quite shocking actually what the body can do. So anyway, that's kind of a sad topic, but it's a fascinating story though. It's so it is probably, I have to say, Elephant Man, I think it is probably, to me, sitting at the probably in the top 5 movies for me. I think it's just a brilliant film. Such a difficult subject, because most directors would tackle it in a way that would be too obvious, wanting to make you cry. But this film is very it's a very sober look at everything. John Merrick is never, it's a great character because he's never complaining about anything. He's actually especially when he gets to meet people and live in the high society. And this was a true story, by the way. This guy was found on a fun fair, on a circus, and he was exposed, as the Elephant Man, for people to come and see him, and he was actually quite okay with it. It was not something that he was forced to do, and like when you see in those horrible stories when people exploit, he was okay to do it. It was his source of revenue. He couldn't really work. He was too handicapped to do anything, so he exposed his body for people to see it, and he got a revenue from it, but then he was found by a doctor who really was fascinated by what he had, and wanted to use him some sort of as a guinea pig, or at least as some kind of case study to talk and present that illness to to his colleagues. And so he brought this guy, and he brought John Merrick, and because of that doctor, John Merrick was allowed to hang out in a very high society of London at the time. He was able to meet some people from the aristocracy and from various ways of life. And at the beginning, what's interesting is that they thought he was retarded, because he couldn't really speak very well. Because of his deformities, and his face was so intense that he couldn't really express himself so much. And so they assumed, because of his appearance and the fact that he was kind of like mumbling words, that he was retarded, or mentally deficient. But then when the doctor brought him, and he spent a long time with him, and actually learned to understand John Merrick, and then he realized, to his astonishment, he realized that this was actually a quite educated man, and that could very well express himself, was perfectly aware of what was going on, and was actually quite intelligent and sensible. And then what you see in the film about Merrick living in his little room that the doctor gave him, and from his room he sees a cathedral, and then he reproduces this cathedral. He makes it out of matches or something like this, little wood pieces, and it's a brilliant piece of art, and it's a true story. Merrick was actually also an artist, and so that's what makes this story very, very touching, because it's not really so much about people being mean to him, or but it's more about the misunderstanding that happened, and the fact that he was lucky enough to meet this doctor and to be allowed to have at least a chance at people seeing him for what he was, for being an artist and a real person, Anyway, I really love this movie. The photography is beautiful. It was shot in black and white, genuinely, and it's just something absolutely wonderful. I really recommend that you guys see it. I think to me, it's still one of the best films ever made. And like I said, it's not something that will make you feel bad. I think obviously it's a very sad story. It's a true story, but there's a lot of humanity in it, and a lot of it doesn't really films like they can easily make you appalled by humanity. But I think the David Lynch was smart enough to show humanity in all its forms. Not only the people who are, just stick to your parents and or mean or take advantage of someone, but also the people that are understanding and all those facets of humanity. So I think it's a really good film for that, and it actually gives you a little bit of hope in humanity if you need it. I think it's a really it's a really great story. Anyway, I'm gonna just hold on. I need to send myself those pictures by email so that I can bring them on here. Sorry about that. Won't take long. This and that to me. His skeleton is exposed. I think it's still in London. People can go and see. They kept his skeleton. It's really something crazy to see how changed it was, And he died young because he committed suicide, but he was destined to die early because the problem with this illness is that it eventually the bone will or the deformity will create respiratory problems, and he couldn't actually lie on his back, and otherwise he would get asphyxiated, so he had to sleep in a sitting position all the time. You'll see all this in the film. So okay, I'm going to quickly pause the stream because I need to get those pictures in, and I'm gonna have maybe to enter a password or something for my webmail. So hold on, I'll be right back. 2 minutes. Okay, I'm back. Sorry about that, guys, but this was better than to traumatize you with looking for references. So that's Elephant Man, or K. John Merrick, as he appears in the movie. So that's his outfit when he's you know in the street. So to hide his entire body, he's wearing this sort of big cloak, and he has this hat with a bag, some sort of bag to cover his face. And this is a better view of the really interesting design, really great design. So it's not true to life. The actual outfit was actually a little bit different, but it still had a hat and a bag underneath, and so that's pretty similar. But the shape is different, the hat is different, so it's not really exactly the same. But you can see why clearly why David Lynch decided to do this. There's a really great sort of swooping shape here that sort of, is reminiscent of a trunk, as an elephant, and this little eye there, on this side. So there's it's very clearly very clever design, very intriguing design with just one eye. Makes it quite scary but intriguing at the same time. And there's this interesting sweeping motion that you can see in the both in the bag and also in the coat. And also he has a cane because, like I said, it was hard for him to move around and walk. So he had to. This was true too. He had to help himself with a cane. So that's him. It's a good character to make. I really like this design. I'm gonna try and make this and see. So this should be a little more, more pixel friendly. A lot more, obviously. You don't have to deal with stripes or like little finicky things. It's very simple masses. So in that regards, it should be easier. However, I think this thing has its own set of challenges. Mainly, it's not necessarily a super interesting shape, and because it's all black on black, it might be a little tricky to get the the sleeve and the arm to read against the body, and it might be difficult to get this interesting draping. But obviously, I think it's still also it should be way easier than making Beetlejuice. So we'll do the usual. Start with basic basic shape. Create another layer. And grab some. So I already did a pinhead from Eraserhead, and that allowed me to come up with shades of gray that read against that properly read against white, but still appear as more or less black. And so so I think I'm gonna probably pick those colors to in order to make him, because it should be fairly similar. It's a similar case. We'll start with this. We'll call this the neutral, and this will be our highlights, and this will be the dark. This will be our neutral. So we'll go. Let's So here I'm gonna go with like a pretty big, really big shape. Really just getting a shape there. Nah, not trying to get too fancy. There's a sort of, tapering shape, and I may change it. I may change as I go, the design, or adjust it a little bit so it just looks a little better in pixel. It's interesting, you can see a little feed there, so probably do the same. We'll have some kind of suggestion of feed. I almost feel bad to make this guy for a game with parodies of movie characters, because it's such a powerful, touching, dramatic story that I kind of debated if this is appropriate to have him, but I think parody is what's good about parody. You can make fun with everything. You should be able to make fun with everything. I think some people don't necessarily agree with that, but I think it's important to be able to do that. So we'll try to be respectful by having him in the game, give him some interesting traits and skills. He's obviously part of the good characters. Like I said, there's going to be people that are evil and people that are going to be neutral, but he's part of the good guys for sure, given the attitude that he had toward life, in spite of the horrible predicament in which he was. You can definitely consider him a good person. And I'm just gonna place really quickly some kind of head, and really quickly some kind of head. Just want to. This is really just trying to get a semblance of proportions. This may end up more tricky than it seems, because there's really not much visual interest in the design. It's a really nice design when it's properly done, but it's actually quite difficult because it's all based on the shape and the flow of things. There's really not much detail that your eye can grasp on, so those usually they end up being actually a bit challenging. I have to just change the shape a little bit or whatnot. I need to find the size too. Size might be something that I need to make sure feels appropriate. Size of the head. I think we don't want the head to be too big, even though it's in a bag, but still I think a sense of accurate proportions is important. I think that's about Right. I don't want him too big, because if he's big, he's gonna look like a monster. He's gonna look really impressive. You know, I don't think that's really the objective there. So I think I'd rather have him be a little small, even though he's called Elephant Man, but it's not for because of his size, obviously. So I think I'd rather have him a little small, on the smaller side, actually. So I want enough pixels to convey this interesting thing going on there, like that flow in the eye, and so I still need to reserve enough pixels for that, but doesn't have to be too big either. I'm gonna go with this, more or less. So in his case, I don't necessarily want to draw a lot of detail inside. I'll have this draping, but I think right now I'm more interested in trying to get interesting outline and silhouette, which is not easy because there's just, it's like a big potato, It's not really very interesting. I think there's very much this line that is important to get. Sort of shoulder there going on. Put the eye somewhere there. So it's kind of a problem because obviously Need to find a proper way to convey the right angle and size for the eye. So he's got the cane, so we need to try and position this somewhere. It's kind of a bad angle, but we can play with that. In a case like this, I'm almost tempted to put the cane on a separate layer, just to kind of be able to move it around depending where it's going to end. And try to keep a consistent angle again, just to make sure that you know, it's just easier on the eye. It's probably good. Yeah, I think should be all right. Here, take this other color now, this other value, and just try and get some draping. It's because depending on how much I can inform, this will also give me a sense of the general shape of everything. If I put a little bit of lighting in there, it's gonna help me. See, this gives us a better understanding of the shape of things, and if we need to add more or change things around. I think the head seems like it's small. Too much stuff going on there. But you know, I may want to change this a bit, just the same thing, because this is obviously designed to make you think of a sort of an elephant trunk. So I may emphasize this shape a little bit more there, just to stick to the spirit of the design more than the actual, and being completely faithful to exactly what I see here. I think we can go a little higher. Oh, the cat just jumped on my lap, but not the best time right now. I have to put her back down. She doesn't like that. She always wants to do that. Seems like it's a cat thing. Whenever you're busy doing something, that's when they decide that they need attention, you know? When you want the same, but when you want them to pay attention, then they don't care, obviously. Probably gonna spend quite a bit of time trying to find the proper shape for this. I think it's it's quite important. If I don't get this, I don't have much, you know. Just gonna flip him real quick. That's a good, yeah. Looks like he's leaning forward a little bit, which doesn't bother me because it kind of suggests that he's a little handicapped, you know, or disabled, which he was. So I think it's fine to get this. I wonder though, there's something quite interesting to this. Let's see, let me flip this guy real quick. I think I want to try and capture this a bit more. It's the position of the head. It's not quite right. Let's see again. It's a bit better. Yeah, I was really so impressed with that film. In every sense of the word, you know, kind of shocked, but at the same time so moved by it, and just in awe, really, by how just beautiful it is in many areas. I think you guys ought to, if you haven't seen it, you guys ought to do yourself a favor and really try to rent this out or find it somewhere, because it is something. See, the contrast looks way more than here. It's just how things are generally drawn, so I may have to change this a bit. Nothing unexpected there. Just gonna change those values really quickly. And see, this is why I like Photoshop. Doing this is very easy in Photoshop. Can quickly change values It didn't take very long. Gonna try to keep it to you know, reasonable to three values. I don't want to try and to start having a ton of different values. It's part of the style that I have everywhere, where there's not that many, you know, many different values. 1, 2, 3 on average. It's enough to convey a form. I want to go overboard with that. His head seems too big overall. I think what's interesting in this is the head is fairly small. It's kind of perched on top of this big mass. I think I need to convey this more. I like this better for the base of the hat. I still want this little shape here. It's got this little visor thing, which is really what makes it what it is. But so far, no luck with that. It's not really great. I'm just gonna just a bit of lighting in there. In a case like this, I think I want to probably light this a little more, just to be able to suggest. Let me get this on white now, because this is what's gonna happen. This is probably, you know. Okay, so we're gonna have to outline him. Yep. Again, when I outline things like this, I try to be very light, almost invisible, because really the point is just to make a little outline. It's not to make something very obvious. It's a bit better. Gonna just quickly kill some of the saturation in there because it's not the most appropriate for him. Lighting is going to be interesting. Can't really do too much because there's not much I'm gonna go pretty light, so otherwise it will change the perception that we have of this. It won't look like a white bag, you know. See if I can still get just a little bit of that shape, you know. That's interesting there. I don't want to mix up with the eye too much. I'm gonna move the eye a little bit, I think. It's probably fine to do that, just so there's not too much conflict in this area with whatever rendering I'm gonna do here. I'm gonna go even lighter there. Better. I think what do you think? I think it's all right. Now here definitely we want to emphasize the sleeve there, so that at least we can read that he's got his arm wrapped in this big sleeve. So I can do that. We're not going to show the hand because it's completely hidden here. And what we'll do is probably this cane here will first of all I'm going to try to find the right value for it, something not too bright but that we can still read, something like this. And we're going to try to shadow it, see if oh, I think it's worth doing a little bit of a shadow, something like this. Just gives it a bit of a so that so we got this. Let's see, I don't want to go too Probably all right. Just honest. Thank you for the follow. Thank you very much. Appreciate. Welcome here. So we're doing pixel art here, as you can tell. We're doing movie characters. I've done quite a bunch. I can show you. See if you can recognize them. Sorry for the guys, for everyone who's been there before, but I'd like to show them really quickly the new people here. So this is Conan. This is Darkness from Legend. Those guys are not from a movie, they're just from me. This is MacReady, the helicopter pilot from The Thing. This is Mike Myers from Halloween. And Freddy from Nightmare on Elm Street. This is Dr. Herbert West from Reanimator. Indiana Jones, obviously. RoboCop. And then Sarah Connor, as she appears in Terminator 2 in that desert scene. This is Alex from the Flashdance. This is a little bit harder. This is this guy's Popeye. He was a cop from Narcotics in French Connection, William Friedkin movie from the 70s. This is Red Sonja, character written by Robert Howard, who also wrote Conan. This is Pinhead from Eraserhead, and that's Jack Torrance from The Shining. And here we have Tony Montana, Scarface, Ripley with the cat, Jones from Alien, and Leatherface from the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, Dr. Zira and Cornelius from Planet of the Apes from 1968, and this is Luke Skywalker, obviously, and that's our latest guy, Beetlejuice, that we just finished today. And now I'm making something a little easier, because this guy was a real nightmare. Elephant Man. So there you have it. Everyone's there. And we're trying to make them all in the same style, at the same scale, so they can fit together. And I did a bunch of little environment tiles. This is all for kind of a silly game idea that I have in mind, but I don't know if this ever happens. But so little environment tiles, there you have it. And also some famous cars that you can probably recognize. The Love Beetle, and then the DeLorean from Back to the Future, and Christine. And this is a little Mac classic, and this is a Speak and Spell, as seen as E.T., because I'd like to do some iconic props from movies as well. It's just a fun theme to work with. Let's go back to this guy. Work just to contrast a little bit now, just to see how much contrast I need in order to read. Looking at this, not looking at the white will be messed, but I think it's probably okay. I want to be able to read shapes, but too much. I think this value, actually I made it lighter, but made the mistake that I was working on gray, so now I need to probably go back to something a little bit darker, because on the white it's very hard to read. So let's say like this. We'll go a little darker, like this. Okay. Got two references here. guys have seen it. Throwing that close up, but I was just curious. It's a very interesting texture. Notice how the attention to detail for the design, that this piece was sort of like a patch or something, then someone cut a hole through it and there's still some remains of that patch, or whatever, a line maybe that he drew in order to sort of decide where he was gonna cut a hole. It's great lighting in this film. It's a beautiful frame. It's very nice lighting. Let's see if I could go. I don't go too much though. And in a case like this, I will do some anti-aliasing, because otherwise it looks more like stone or something. And for big chunks of fabric like this, I think it's good to have a soft edge. So I'll do probably something like this along the way to make it so you look here and it will look softer and nicer. But we'll only do that when we're sure that everything is properly positioned. I like this sort of this fold here. I wonder if I can render this or not. Is it something that will show? We'll try it. Yeah, I think it's worth. What's good with this sort of stuff is that it gives it a lot of scale. You know, when you have only big masses like this, it's kind of hard to really understand scale. But when you have smaller things in there, then this informs you. You know what I mean? Same thing here. Probably see the folds, they get kind of smaller and smaller as we get close to the head. And also this gives also more focus, because the eye tends to generally fix on the amount of the areas where the contrast or the detail is the highest. It's always something to keep in mind when you're doing something, is wherever you're going to put detail or contrast, this is going to be more or less oftentimes your focal point, which in that case is good, because obviously this is where it's important, you know, and way less around here. I will start to get a little bit more precise in this area. Here I use one more value, just for the sake of softening those folds. It's really just the only purpose there. They look, you know, compare this to that. This looks way harder than that on that because of this extra little edge, you know. Just have to find the best areas to do it. But if you do this too much, though, you will end up with something that looks a little bit fuzzy or blurry. So so keep that in mind. And you'll see it, you know, as you work, you will realize. I think it works okay. It's such an iconic shape, and it's very strong design. You know, when you've seen this movie, you remember this. You know, it's like sort of like burn inside your brain. You know, you won't forget it. That's the sign of very strong design usually. You know, very iconic shapes that you remember very long time after you've seen them, and that you recognize instantly. You know, a TIE fighter or this, you know, same thing. They're strong shapes, strong design. They're usually quite simple, and that's their simplicity that makes them oftentimes quite memorable. I think here I'll do a little bit of an extra. I think we're actually moving quite fast on this guy. So feet, I can't really. Just gonna suggest, and because the problem is, the more you show feet, the less you know, wide and long this will look. It'll look a little bit silly, you know, if I do little sticky legs. You know, sticking out from this, it'll look a little stupid because it'll look too short, you know, especially in that perspective. Here we're looking, we're kind of like at eye level, but here you have to imagine it's almost like we're slightly above, so we can't really have too much of feet. And actually, I'm gonna go a little longer for his body. I think it's worth. And here I'm gonna take some liberty. As you can see here, it's hard to tell, but it seems very rounded. But I think in a case like this, I try to break out the outline a lot, and by suggesting some overlapping folds. So in other words, this fold goes above, overlaps above, and so here this goes underneath, you know, and then I got a second fold here, and so by having those little cuts here, same thing here, from here to there, having this cut, makes it look like those big masses are actually kind of like folding around, you know. It's a more interesting silhouette, especially getting this. It's nice to have angles, you know, because otherwise everything is kind of mushy and weird. It's good to have some angles in a design like this whenever possible. Operating system looks so retro. Nice. Yeah, you mean are you talking about this guy? This? In terms of operating system, I suppose you're talking about that. Hello, good my kids. By the way, thank you for the follow. I remember clearly missing the alert online, or maybe you followed at some other point when I was not streaming. But I remember seeing your name follower as a follower. I have so few that I remember the names. That's the good thing about having a few followers. And I remember your name and remember thinking that maybe I missed the alert and I felt bad. So if that's the case, I'm sorry. And welcome. Thanks for the follow. And also, guys, I'm really bad at responding in a timely fashion to people chatting, and the reason is because I have so very few people in the chat that I tend to forget about at some point about just looking at the chat window, and so on a different screen, so on the stream PC, you know. So I don't really look at it, and plus I get you know in the zone with the art, and then I get focused, and I forget about the chat. So if I don't answer to your question, or if I don't acknowledge you in the chat, just know that it's not because I ignore you. It's because I'm really bad at streaming. That's all. That's all it is. But hopefully I'll get better at some point. Too happy with this thing here. It needs to be a little cleaner, I think. That's better. Ah, this guy is such a piece of cake compared to that horrible Beetlejuice. Look at this guy. Ah, this was so difficult. It doesn't even look that good in the end. But give up. That's the best I can do for now. Maybe I'll go back to it later if I have a better idea of how to represent those stupid stripes. But for now, it's the best I can deliver. So I can spend a lot of time in trying to get proper rendering for that sort of stuff. Okay. Well, this is taking shape. So I haven't done any feet yet. This is I don't want to ruin the those things though, so I think I'm just gonna really go for just a little bit of something. I really don't. I don't even know how to do this really well because I don't want to. I like the fact that it looks very long, you know, but at the same time I don't want him to look like he's floating or something. Even though, I mean, there will be a shadow there, so that will ground him. But I wonder if there's a way. Well, actually, you know what? This is what I could do. I could suggest a little feet here. Yeah, I think I like this. You know, it's almost like you don't see that. Yeah, I think I like this. You don't see that foot, but you see this one. You know, hopefully this will read. I don't know. Does it? Maybe a little something here. Like that. That's not too bad, I think. One foot here and one foot here. Gives him a little bit of motion too. I think that's all right. Let's flip him. Yeah, I think it's okay. What do you think? Is that all right? Kind of a hard time to figure if it's good or not. I'm gonna try to same thing. I think I'm gonna have to just do a little bit of anti-aliasing there on the outside. Otherwise it's a little harsh, you know. I have to go overboard, but I think it needs it. Just a bit of something, probably enough. I think it might be a short stream today. This is getting right, I think. This cane, I don't think it has any sort of detail or anything. I think it's good to leave it simple, actually. Kind of gives him a more, you know, simple, modest look. Because he's really not that, just doesn't really have any resources, or not much resources. It's got a simple stick, you know. Yeah, I think it's alright. Let's keep doing a little bit of rendering here. Keep it simple. I don't want to go crazy. there's a bit too much aliasing. Looks a little blurry. I really don't like when it does that. So I try to keep it to a minimum, just to avoid like really big, like harsh edges. Um, hmm. Struggling a bit there. Okay. Let's preserve the transparency here. And here you can suggest folds this way, by overlapping a shape. Okay, I think I'm getting close now. I don't want to over render. It's always very easy trap to fall into this sort of stuff, and because you don't really have much to work with, since it's such a simple character, so to speak. So because there's not much detail for you to paint, and you may be tempted to just start over rendering, So I think that urge needs to be fought, because the simplicity, the lack of detail is very much part of what makes the design. So you can't really just add for the sake of just making stuff, Okay, let's put a shadow. I'm just curious. I guess shadow will be a pretty big deal for him. opacity there. Yeah, I think it's all right. I think we got our guy. That's him. John Merrick, also known as the Elephant Man. Taking a bit of time. I wonder if I should see, this is not very, I think I should probably pronounce this sleeve here. It's a bit hard to understand. I want to try that. Ooh. Let's just quickly cut this short, and then we'll just keep going with the different value. Maybe it's like it's like if it's partly shadowed, you know. I think it's important to feel like so. I think it was a little fat. Not sure I want this to be that big. It's better like this. Hold on. Yes, I think I like this better. It's more interesting, I think. More understandable. Makes more sense. And actually, quickly. Yeah, I don't think I want this big mass there. See again. Yes, I think this is better. Try something real quick here. Is sleeve has this triangle shape there. I just want to try it. I doubt it's necessarily gonna work for us, but I want to try it. And then this means that this guy would be oh. Let's go back in history, see if that works or not. From here to there. I think this is better, but I think it's a little bit too long though. We're going to move this a bit and then go back there. Fix this real quick. Yes, I think this works better. And then we'll just move this a bit because we don't want just one pixel, you know. So maybe, yes, I think this is better. And we'll just, this will give us the opportunity to have just a longer fall there, which is not bad. Taking the time, just like I said, you know, sometimes you want to just pause a little bit, stop, and then think for a little while. See if there's something that you've missed. And I mean, obviously, you know, it's quite different. The lighting here, it's more like a shearing angle, you know. This is more like front lit, but I'm just trying to see if the essence of character seems, if it's faithful, you know. It's a bit of a different angle too. I think I think I'm okay with that. Let me quickly flip this guy again. Yeah, I think it's all right. I'm gonna commit to the cane now. One single layer. Name it. Maybe we can just ease this in a little bit. And I think we're about done. If someone has a suggestion or something that I could do, then let me know. Otherwise, I think I'm probably gonna call this done. I don't know if there's a way to. Well, there you go, guys. Elephant Man, John Merrick. I think I'm, as usual, you know. I think I'm at this point. I'm having a hard time finding really what could be better. Not that it's, you know, I don't mean by this that it's perfect or anything, but that I can't really improve it very efficiently at this point. So I need to probably let that rest for maybe a day, you know, and then at that point I'll will know if there's better to do or more, or I think at that point it's probably wise to give it a rest and have time to simmer. And if and there's probably something that, you know, I'll notice that I'll change. I think so far I think that's as good as it's gonna get for now. So there, we finished this guy. There was not much to do on him, but still. And then let's move Elephant Man around, see if he is proper scale. Yeah, I like that he's not too massive. I was a little bit afraid of that, so I think it's all right. Yeah, I think he's about the right size. Yeah, there you go. This is done. This was a quick one, but you know, at least we got one quick project done in a manageable amount of time that you guys were able to maybe watch entirely, because I know that when it takes hours, I get rid of that anti-aliasing for now. Not too certain I want to do this on the outside. I'll get rid of it for now, and then we'll reconsider. And yeah, I think it's alright. And then yeah, because I know that sitting for like 3 hours watching me doing this is a bit long. For me, it doesn't really necessarily feels that long because I'm doing something, but I imagine that it can be a little long, and especially on him, it took quite a bit of time of trying to figure something out. So there, Elephant Man. So again, if you haven't seen that movie, you have to watch this. This is a beauty. This is very, very impressive. It's a very touching film. 1984, David Lynch. And I think it's going to be a short stream for today, 2 hours, clocking around the 2-hour mark. It's enough for now. I'm glad that I got something done at least, and then I'll be back on Monday. We'll do something else. I'm not sure what yet. If you guys have ideas, don't hesitate. You can follow me on Twitter, find me on Instagram, and you can comment and or send me your thoughts, or if you have ideas for characters, then I'll definitely consider them. Okay, so I'm gonna say thank you everyone for being here. I always appreciate all the people that spend a little bit of time with me. Gives me a reason to work every night, and not that I would do it, but it's better to have people with me here. And I'll see you next Monday. We'll do the same thing next week, Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. So in the meantime, I wish you all a very good weekend, and I'll see you on Monday now. Thank you. Bye.